Hello students, my name is Jasmeet Kaur from Sahaj Coaching Center. Today's video is going to be a brief about what you should do a day before the PTE exam. So firstly, let me explain you what PTE exam is. Well, PTE exam is about Pearson's test of English, in which your language is checked based on 4 modules, which is speaking, writing, reading and listening. Now, all these modules, whatever you deliver in your computer, are going to be checked by the AI. There's no human interaction in this, and there's no confusion in that the human is not going to give you the answers for what you are will give you the scores for what you are answering. It's completely on the AI that whatever you are delivering, you will be judged on your level of language, and there's no person who is going to check your performance. So moving on to what you should do a day before the exam. So like I said, that PTE exam is completely computer based. So you don't need to worry about your handwritings, but yes, you must practice your spellings and also work on your fluency. Now, the main problem that occurs on the day of exam is that we are not able to speak fluently, and our pronunciation also fluctuates, varying from word to word. So, for the first thing that you should do, which is the first point, you must revise speaking fluently and in the proper pronunciation of the word. Now, how to do that thing? See, the first thing is that before the day of the test, you should speak the language that you are appearing for. That is the English language. Do not speak in your mother tongue for at least 24 hours so that your mind is prepared to speak the language on the test date. And also look for the pronunciations of the words on YouTube, because sometimes we pronounce a word in a different way, but in the actual native language, its pronunciation is different. So the first thing that you must do is revise your fluency along with the pronunciation of the words. Moving on to the second thing. The second thing is, like I said, the sequence of the exam is speaking, writing, reading and then listening. For the speaking itself, we usually worry and work bad while performing for repeat sentences and even in read aloud. For the read aloud, I already told you to practice your fluency and the pronunciation. Similarly, for repeat sentences, you should practice with your retaining memory skills, because if you will practice repeat sentences by writing the sentences alongside while you are listening to them, that way you might feel or find trouble while revealing the word that you have actually written. So you must work on retaining the sentences. For that, you can go for the predictions, and you can also practice while listening to the sentences from any documentary, pause it and repeat the sentence later on and see how many words you could speak. Now, in the repeat sentence, you are checked on 3 parameters. Those are content, fluency and pronunciation. For the fluency and pronunciation, as I already said, that you should work on while fluency and pronouncing the words properly. Similarly, for the content, you should work on practicing with the retaining power for the repeat sentences. On the other hand, when you are listening to a retell lecture, now in this, you can't memorize the whole 1 minute or 1.5 minute long lecture. For this, you must practice writing in hurry and in abbreviations. Now, one day is not enough for practicing all those things, but these things you should keep working on from the time, the day you have already started with your preparation. So work with your practice the day you have started preparing for the PTE exam. Start with your abbreviation practice and your fast hand writing so that you are able to grasp as many important words from the lecture so that you get good scores in your content. Now, this is all for the speaking. So these 2 things you must work on while practicing for the speaking module. Moving on to the writing module. As you already know that the scores for the speaking and writing are shuffled in 2-3 parts, but you don't need to worry about those shuffling, because the shuffling is done by the AI and there's no clear-cut score guidance that how many scores are shuffled and in which module or which type of question. So what to do in the writing module? The writing, you are going to get 3 sections or 3 questions or 2 questions. Either you'll get 2 summarized written text or 1, but an essay is definitely going to be there. Now here for the summarized written text, I want you to practice writing complex or compound sentences using conjunctions and connectors. You must have already prepared all those things, but this is the time when you have to revise those words, go back to your grammar booklets and look for conjunctions and see how the complex sentences are formed. Remember, you are just going to summarize the information that is already provided above the typing box. You just have to look for the words, the nouns, the important sentence or the topic sentences from that paragraph, and you just have to summarize it in your own language. You don't have to write any difficult sentences while summarizing, but you just have to remain in the word limit, that is 5 to 75 words, and that too in one sentence. Now, writing in one sentence means that you don't have to put a full stop anywhere in between that long sentence, but you can use hyphens, you can use commas, you can use semicolons, but do not use full stop in the whole sentence. For this, read from the newspapers that how a sentence or a long sentence is framed, or you can even practice with your mentors by taking a text from any book and summarizing it on a sheet of paper, so that your mentor can guide you that where you are using the conjunction accurately and where you are not. So just revise the grammar and also the sentence structures. Now, as per the new guidelines by the Pearsons starting January 2023, the template for the essay is not getting the scores. There are some students who are practicing writing the template and by hook or crook they are getting the scores, but actually writing a template is not accepted by the AI and definitely your scores will be deducted. So for that, what you need to do is, if you have already practiced with the template, this is not the time to change your pattern. Write using the template, but make sure that you are fitting in the topic sentences accurately and grammatically correct. Because if your topic sentence does not fit into the template appropriately, it would not be accepted. And for those who are not using the template and practicing writing the essay, they're free-handedly and without using any support from any kind of the guidance, for them, it's most important thing and very scoring thing is to read the solved essays from the PTE prediction essays. There are n number of essays that are solved. From there, you can get the help of the ideas that what kind of a topic would require what kind of statements. You can learn the vocabulary. You can learn the spellings of the words so that when you are typing it in your writing box, you don't make mistakes with the spelling. Your vocabulary gets a good score, so make sure your vocabulary is good and stay in the word limit, that is 200 to 300. If you're writing above 300, there will be a little negative marking. If you're writing below 200, there will be a negative marking. So you should practice writing an essay in between this word limit, that is 200 to 300 words. So these are the 4 things that you should do before the exam. Moving on to the 5th thing, that is for your reading module. Now in the reading, this is the module that the children find very difficult just because their grammar is weak. And secondly, they are not very much familiar with the difficult words. And also sometimes they feel that the sentences or the language used in the paragraphs where you need to rearrange the words from the drop-down option or you have to drag and drop the option into the free space, they find the difficulty. Now, why is that becoming a problem for the kids? See, the first thing, from very beginning of this video, I have been telling you to practice your grammar as much as possible. See, the Pearson's test of English is 90% based on the grammar, 10% it's based on your knowledge of the language, that is the vocabulary, your pronunciation and fluency. So as much grammar you practice, as much skills you have grammatically, the more the scores will be. The reading part, for example, for the reading fill in the blanks drop down and for reading fill in the blanks drag and drop options, for these your grammar must be very good, your vocabulary must be very good, because you are not getting any kind of a paragraph to find the answers from, but yes, you are just getting a word list and a paragraph to fit in the words. For this, read the grammar, open up a grammar book, look for all kind of grammatical works that are your tenses, your passive voice, active voice, your third person, second person, everything you need to just mug up a day before. and just make sure that you don't go wrong with the tenses, because most of the words that you fit into the blank are from the tense. Either you are using the passive, either you're using the perfect tense, either you're using the continuous tense. You have to make sure that when are you going to use an ing form of the word or the second or the third form. Even sometimes it is seen that you use the comparative or the superlative degrees of the words, so that for this you must work on the grammar itself. In the reading, there are reorder paragraphs as well. So this can be very easy if you have read many of the solved essays, because reorder paragraphs are in the form of the essay only, where you need to select a paragraph for the introduction, you have to select the body paragraphs, and then you have to go on to the conclusion part. For the introduction part, you must look for the words that are individual. For body paragraph, there should be a connector between them, and for the conclusion, it's going to give you a summary. So for reading, again, read some of the titles from the articles for the read order paragraph. For MCQ, single answer and multiple answer, speed up your reading skills. You should not spend more than 30 seconds on solving the MCQs, because if you spend more than 30 seconds on them, you will not be able to get the time for the other sections which are a little bit more trickier, because you are getting just one or two single answer MCQs and last you get one multiple answer MCQ. So for those, you must have ample time in hand to practice all the skills and to mark the accurate answers. For the sixth point, do not listen to any of your native language songs or any other thing, because in the listening module, if a day before you are listening to words, languages, audio and your songs in your native tongue, your listenability will be reduced. For the listening section, it's very important to have good listenability, good understanding of the language. So you must listen to the language as much as possible and do not listen to any other language at all. Try listening to the audio while reading the subtitles at the bottom, which is going to help you in highlight incorrect words and also in fill in the blanks of the listening. Because if you are able to coordinate your hearing and reading skills simultaneously, that time you will not find any trouble in being coordinating with the audio and the words that are written on the screen. Because sometimes what happens is, in the listening, when you are listening to something and side by side reading the same text, we are not able to coordinate properly with the speed of the audio because our reading speed is slow. For that, read the subtitles and then listen to the audio, which will improve your listenability. The last thing that you should do is do not take any practice test before the test that you are going to appear the next day. If you will take any test a day before and you don't score good, your morale will come down to zero, and that time you will not have any courage to appear for the exam the next day. You just have to revise the grammar, listen to the audios, have some good food, relax, take a good sleep, and then appear for the test. Also make sure that your documents are in place. So these are the 7 things you should do before the exam, because these are going to help you in scoring good. I am not saying that you are going to get the good scores just by a day's practice. You need to practice at least for good 1 or 2 months before you fill your test. These are the tips just for practicing a day before, and these are all the revising or revision text that you should do. That was all for today's video. If you have liked the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe the channel if you are new to it. Thank you so much.